Hello friends, this is the part 2 of the Environmental Science Current Affair PT365 module, and in this part we will cover biodiversity, second part, that is forest. First is here is UNREDD, International Arrangements of Forest, Mangrove Conservation and other related news. In this part we will cover all these portions. We have already covered this wildlife and conservation in part 1. If you have not gone through this, go in the playlist and watch this wildlife and conservation. So coming to the forests. The first topic given in forest is UNREDD. First we will see why it is in news, then we'll see the added details and different things about the REDD and REDD plus. Starting with why it is in news, United Nations Program on Reducing Emission for Deforestation and Forest Degradation. This is actually the full form of REDD, that is United Nations Program on Reducing Emission from Deforestation and Forest Degradation, that is UNREDD, report titled Rising Emission, Accelerating Action Towards Enhanced Nationally Determined Contribution for Forest has been launched. Next is what are the key findings of the report. Only 8 of the top 20 countries with the highest rate of tropical deforestation have quantified target on the forest in nationally determined contribution plan. What is nationally determined contribution? We will talk it later also. Climate change. What is nationally determined contribution? It is the contribution by the country itself that has already taken commitment to reduce or immense pollution, to reduce the pollution or increase the amount of forest. So this comes under the nationally determined contribution. 11 of the NDCs contain qualified targets relating to afforestation and deforestation. Mitigating climate change requires reducing deforestation first. Here it is given about UNREDD and REDD plus. Let's first understand the difference between REDD and REDD plus. There is too much confusion about these two terms. Are they same or different? Let's see the word first. This is REDD. REDD is about reducing emission from deforestation and forest degradation. Okay, this is, we have already read about the full form of this REDD. This is the reducing emission from the deforestation and forest degradation. Then why this plus sign is about? Actually, this plus sign is about sustainable development of forest and forest management. We can say it is for sustainable development of forest and forest management Okay, so the first, this plus sign is added for sustainable development. This is development of forest and forest management. Earlier what we have seen in REDD was to stop the this forest degradation, or you can say deforestation. But now REDD plus is focused more about the sustainable development of forest and forest management. It is actually about the increasing the quality of the forest. REDD plus focused about increasing quality of forest. Okay, increasing quality of forest. It also talks about afforestation. And reforestation. Understood what is given in REDD? REDD is reducing emission from deforestation and forest degradation. This is true. Okay, later the plus is added for sustainable development of forest and forest management, as well as it is talking about the improving the quality of the forest. It also talks about how we can increase afforestation and reforestation. So it is modification in REDD and making it more environment friendly and sustainable. Now let's see what is given here. First is about REDD, flagship UN Knowledge and Advisory Program on the Forest and Climate with focus on advancing Paris Agreement. It is the largest international provider of REDD plus assistance. Genesis is it was launched in 2008 and builds on the technical expertise of Food and Agriculture Organization, that is FAO, United Nations Development Program, United Nations Environmental Program, that is UNEP. Partner countries, this is not important, 65, India is also including, you should know. This is about REDD plus. The framework is commonly referred to as Warsaw Framework for REDD plus, adopted in 19th session of Conference of Parties, UNFCCC 2013. Okay, UNFCCC, you know that this 2013 is 19th. When is the Paris Agreement is done? We will see about the Paris Climate Summit. This was the 21st COP. Okay, here this NDC is proposed by different countries and India came first to set its NDC, and we have already achieved that also, what we have set in the Paris climate. Okay, we will see in detail. Next, here it is given REDD plus goes beyond simply deforestation and forest degradation. I have already talked about this. REDD is modified to REDD plus with the inclusion of sustainable development of forest and forest management, increasing the quality of forest, and afforestation and deforestation, here given the same thing, and includes the role of conservation, sustainable management of forest, and enhancement of forest carbon stock. 3 points given here is, first is the role of conservation, second is about the sustainable management of the forest, and third is about the enhancement of the forest carbon stocks. There is one question already asked about REDD plus, so let's look into this. This is UPSC 2016 question. What is it is given? Proper design and effective implementation of UN REDD plus program can significantly contribute to, first is about the protection of biodiversity, second is about resilience of forest ecosystem, third is about the poverty reduction. What will be the answer here? I have already discussed about the UN REDD plus. What will be the answer here? Just see, protection of biodiversity, of course this is the main aim. Resilience of the forest ecosystem, this is also important. How it is poverty reduction, it will be answer or not? Of course it will be correct. So answer will be D, that is 1, 2 and 3. How poverty reduction? If you will develop sustainable forest, that will also reduce the poverty and increase the employment generation and different areas related to the forest. So it will also help in the poverty reduction. So I hope it is clear. The answer is D here. Let's look into the second topic, that is International Arrangement on Forest. First, see why it is in news. 19th session of the United Nations Forum on Forest under the International Arrangement on Forest concluded. You don't need to remember that session, just you need to know United Nations Forum on Forest under the International Arrangement on Forest. Okay, so how this United Nations Forum on the Forest works? This is under the International Arrangement on Forest. See the key takeaways of this UNFF 19 meeting. World is off track to achieve the global forest goals by 2030. Members affirm the United Nations Strategic Plan for Forest 2017 to 30. This word is important in itself, that United Nations Strategic Plan for Forest is for year 2017 to 30. Even this can be asked, this is for year 2015 to 30. Okay, 16 to 30, 17 to 35, या फिर 25. Okay, this type can be asked, or this is 17 to 30, which is the correct answer. Okay, so you have to remember United Nations Strategic Plan for Forest 2017 to 30. Okay, India table its significant increase in the forest cover in the past 10 years through the scientific approach to sustainable forest management. This is achievement of India, so it is important. Here the data is given is actually old because it is ISFR 2019-20. Already new data has already been published. Total forest area and tree cover has increased to, this was earlier data, now it is 1445 square kilometer, taking total percentage of 25.17. Earlier it was it was 24.62%. Now it is 25.17% of the total geographical area. Earlier 17 states have more than 33%. Now it came to 19 states or UTs have more than 33% of area under forest cover. We will study this India State Forest Report in detail. I have just given the brief. I will make a separate video for that. Just go through this in brief what is written here. Like India State Forest Report 2013, 18th such report of the series. As per the present assessment, the total forest and tree cover is, this is data is not important that you remember 8,27,357 square kilometer. It is not important. Of course, the percentage is important. 25.17% of the geographical area of the country. The forest cover has an area about 21.76%, whereas the tree cover has an area about 3.41%. This data you should know. As compared to the assessment of 2021, this is 2023. As compared to 2021, there is an increase of 1445 square kilometer of the forest and the tree cover of the country. This is important, you should remember, which includes 156 square kilometer increase in the forest cover and 1289 square kilometer increase in the tree cover. Top 4 states showing the maximum increase of the forest and the tree cover are in Chhattisgarh. The first state you must remember, Chhattisgarh. The top 3 states showing the maximum increase of the forest are Mizoram. Okay, so then Mizoram is important, you should know. The Mizoram is a state having maximum increase. This is the maximum increase in the forest and tree cover is Chhattisgarh. When they ask about the maximum increase in the forest, not tree cover, only in the forest area, then it is Mizoram. Area wise, top 3 states having the largest forest and tree cover, largest is Madhya Pradesh. Largest forest and tree cover is Madhya Pradesh. With the top 3 states having the largest forest cover is also Madhya Pradesh. Either you talk about the largest forest and tree cover or largest forest cover, both is Madhya Pradesh. In terms of the percentage of the forest cover with respect to the total geographical area, Lakshadweep has the highest forest cover, that is about 91.33%. If you talk about the percentage of the area covered under the forest, then it is Lakshadweep because 91.33% is covered, followed by Mizoram. You should know the Mizoram also. Okay. The present assessment also reveals that, this is important, you can place it in the conclusion or showing something like how India is developing. Like present assessment also reveals 19 states or UTs have about 33% of the geographical area under the forest cover. Actually, India targeted that, means 33% of the total geographical area will be covered under the forest. What we can see, 33% of the geographical area are under forest cover. Out of these, 8 state UTs, namely Mizoram, Lakshadweep, whatever it is given, okay, have above 75% cover. 75% cover also in the 8 states. So this you should know. Next is given about the mangrove. The total mangrove cover is 4,992 square kilometer. Mangrove also play an important role. Next topic is the mangrove only. We will see later. Regarding a status on achievement of the target under NDC, that is nationally determined contribution, related to the carbon sequestration. What is carbon sequestration? Carbon sequestration actually is the process of capturing and storing carbon from the atmosphere, generally which is done by the trees. Okay, so it is important how when we increase our tree and forest cover, we increase the carbon sequestration also. Okay, the current assessment shows that India's carbon stock has reached 30.43 billion tons of CO2 equivalent, which indicates that as compared to the base year of 2005, India has already reached 2.29 billion tons of additional carbon sink as against target of 2.523 billion tons by 2030. Actually, we have targeted 2.5 to 3 billion tons carbon sequestration. This is carbon sequestration of 2.5 to 3 billion tons by year 2030. And currently we are doing, this is 2.29 billion tons. So we have came near to our set target. Here, this is done. Okay, so I will make a separate video about the India State Forest Report of 2023, even though the brief introduction has given there. Okay. So, what is the UN strategic plan for forest under the UNFF 2017 to 30? This forced at a special session of United Nations Forum on Forest held in 2017 and provides the ambitious vision for the global forest at 2030. We have already talked. This vision is about 2070 to 2030. All members of UN are the member of UNFF. This is true, including India. It contains the set of 6 global forest goals. You don't need to remember all the 6 global forest goals. Just you need to know there are 6 global forest goals and 26 associated targets achieved by 2030, which are voluntary and universal. It includes a target to increase the forest area by 3% worldwide by 2030. This is important, you can use this. And this can also be asked, like 3%, what is the main target? 3% increase in the forest area by 2030. Okay, significantly an increase of 120 million hectare. You don't need to remember that how much million hectare is required, that is 120 million hectare. This is not important. Next is it builds on the vision of 2030 agenda. Report is by Global Forest Goals, flagship UN report on forests. Let's see, this is 6 goals are mentioned. Let's see here, the 6 goals are given for the global forest goal for 2017 to 30. You don't need to again remember all these 6. There are 6 goals. Reverse forest cover loss, global forest goal. Second is improve forest benefits and livelihoods. These are common points. No need to remember. This is third goal is protect forest and use sustainable forest product. Fourth is about mobilize resource. Fifth is about promote inclusive forest governance. 6 is about the corporate and the work across sectors. Not very important that you remember all the 6 goals. Here it is about the international arrangement on forest. Actually, whatever we have seen, see, this is all under the international arrangement on forest. Means this United Nations Forum on Forest is under the international arrangement on forest. So we need to understand what is actually this international arrangement on forest. This is established in 2000 as a successor to Intergovernmental Panel on Forest, that was from 95 to 97, and the Intergovernmental Forum on Forest was 97 to 2000. Understood? Means international arrangement on forest was established in 2000. The previous organization for this is Intergovernmental Panel on Forest. This was started in 1995 to 97, and then in 97 Intergovernmental Forum on Forest was established till year 2000. Okay, initially it was panel, then it is forum on the forest, then it was international arrangement on the forest from year 2000, and this is continuing. The objective was to promote the management, conservation and sustainable development of all types of forest and strengthen long-term political commitment to this end. Okay, so we have to increase the total forest area, and for that long-term commitment should be required. So it is to promote and protect the forest. There are 5 components given under this. 5 components. Actually, this is not very important. Just look into this, what 5 components are given. United Nations Forum on Forest, not required. Collaborative partnership on forest. The Global Forest Financial Facilitation Network, UN Trust Fund, UNFCFF Secretariat. Okay, this is the related news. If you want, you can see the International Forest Governance, a non-profitable organization, has released a report titled International Forest Governance, a critical review of trends, drawbacks and new approaches. It is the first global synthesis report of international forest governance since 2000, summarizes the most significant development in the international forest governance after 2010. Report has been released in the backdrop of 19th session of the UN Forum on Forest. IFG, that is International Forest Governance, is comprised of policy, legal and institutional framework for international decision making on forest. Next is about the mangrove conservation. Why it is in news? Recently, IUCN Red List of Mangrove Ecosystem indicated that about 50% of the ecosystems examined were classified as vulnerable, endangered, or critically endangered. Understood? 50% of the mangrove area is either vulnerable, endangered, or critically endangered. More on the news, IUCN Red List of the Mangroves. This is Red List for the mangroves. Okay, Red List of the mangrove ecosystem assess 36 regions across the 44 countries. It is one of the headlines indicator of the Kunming Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework under the Convention of Biodiversity, that is CBD. The mangroves ecosystem of the South India, mainly it is talking about the South India, Sri Lanka, Maldives and the Northwest Atlantic were identified as critically endangered. Okay, so the mangroves of the South India is also critically endangered. Can you tell me the reasons why the South India is specifically mentioned like it is critically endangered? See, there are many reasons in the South India for mangroves to be critically endangered. Like, if you will see, the urban expansion in southern states is very high. Aquaculture practices they are using currently, like in the mangrove area, the aquaculture farming is easy and means more cost effective and more beneficial. So they are doing aquaculture. In fact, they have also increased the agricultural lands in this mangrove region, like for the rice cultivation they are using this area, and also they are using the mangrove area for the salt production. There is also development of the tourism here, and of course the basic reason is the climate change which is impacting all these areas. So southern India is having more critical situation. Let's see the status of Indian mangroves. Andaman and Bay of Bengal is least concern. You know about this Bay of Bengal, this is about the Sundarban Delta. Of course, see the importance of mangrove. Actually, in 2004 tsunami, actually this mangrove of this West Bengal protected this West Bengal region from the impact of tsunami. So it also acted as a barrier for the tsunami. So this is important, actually means use of the mangrove is important. South India is critically endangered and West India is the vulnerable. Let's see about the mangroves and the ecosystem services. What is the ecosystem services provided? Carbon sequestration, biodiversity conservation, disaster, what we have seen in the tsunami, all this comes under the ecosystem service provided. This is about mangroves and the ecosystem provided. It is written here, located primarily in the tropical, subtropical and the warm temperate coast, covering approximately 15% of the world's coastline. Okay, services provided by the mangroves. First is about the carbon sequestration, that is approximately 11 billion tons. This is 3 times of the amount stored in the tropical forest of same size. So more carbon sequestration can be done in the mangrove forest. So it is also ecologically very important. Biodiversity conservation, of course you know about this Bengal tigers. Okay, overall Bengal tiger is present in this mangrove forest. Next is disaster risk reduction. I already told about tsunami type incident. Next is a status of mangroves in India. Mangroves in Lakshadweep archipelago and coast of Tamil Nadu are critically endangered. I have already discussed the reason. A state of the world's mangroves 2024 by the Global Mangrove Alliance. India, a state forest report 2023 by the Forest Survey of India. Mangrove cover in India has increased by 17 square kilometer compared to the previous year. This statement is actually wrong. This is not increased. I told you I will discuss this forest report in detail. Actually the area is decreased. This area is decreased. Okay, the mangrove area is decreased by 7.43 square kilometer from 2021 level. Actually the area is decreased, not increased. Actually mangrove cover in India has decreased compared to the previous assessment. You don't need to remember data, but just you have to understand increase or decrease. Next is major location in India. This is Andaman and Nicobar Island, Sundarban in West Bengal, Mahanadi, Godavari and Krishna Delta, etc. Next is about the India's initiative for the mangrove conservation. See, Just need to know the name of the initiatives, like MISTI. MISTI is Mangrove Initiative for the Shoreline Habitat and Tangible Income. So what is it is written like from mangrove the tangible income. This is talking about the economic generation of the local people under the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. Next is sustainable aquaculture in the mangrove ecosystem initiative. This is building aquaculture farms using IMA, integrated mangrove aquaculture system. Next is magical mangrove campaign. This is by WWF initiative. This is next is National Coastal Mission program on conservation and management of mangrove and coral reefs. There are some global initiatives also, like this mangrove breakthrough. This is launched in UNFCCC COP27 in Egypt by this United Nations High Level Climate Champions and Global Mangrove Alliance. Next is target of securing the future of over 15 million hectare of the mangrove globally by 2030, underpinned by 4 billion of sustainable finance. By using 4 billion of sustainable finance, 15 million hectare of mangroves will be increased. Next is about the other related laws. First is Forest Advisory Committee. Just you have to go through this. No need to remember each and every point, like other related laws is of course not important. FSC has exempted survey involving drilling and the felling up of 100 trees for hydro and the other developmental projects in the forest areas. FSC is actually Forest Advisory Committee. This is actually a statutory body under the Forest Conservation Act of 1980 under the MOFCC. It approves the diversion of the forest land and the non-forest purpose. Next is access the land request validation, evaluates impact minimization plans and considers potential damage to local ecology and wildlife habitats. It is having role of Forest Advisory Committee also is recommendatory in nature so far as diversion of forest land for the purpose of non-forestry use is concerned. Next is Forest Ecosystem Restoration Initiative. Not very important, just you can go through this. I will put this PDF in my Telegram group, you can check from there, not very important. Next is Use Nature Restoration Plan. This is about the Use Nature Restoration Plan. Of course, this is about the European Union. You can go through this, not very important for the exam. Next is European Union Deforestation Regulation. Again, this is by the European Union, not very much important for our exam. Okay, so just go through what is this, like the European Commission has proposed to extend the implementation of UDR, that is European Union Deforestation Regulation, by 1 year. How it will be asked by this UPSC, so not important, just go through. I hope you understood the topic. In the next video, I will start with the wetlands, coastland and oceans. If you found this information valuable, please like, share and subscribe. Thank you.